All right, thanks for tuning in. I'm Dave. This is Save America Vote Tulsi Gabbard. I'm back. Took a day off here. Revenue continues to fall on this channel. I mean, we just got revenue going not too long ago, and it's already on the decline. I don't know. It's views are being stunted because YouTube is getting the first 1,000 to 2,000 views for free on many of these videos. What happens is they get demonetized. I know I had a comment about you don't really care about if I get revenue from this channel. Well, then maybe, down the road I won't be able to keep doing this if the channel becomes a liability, because I put effort into this. I'm the only one who's really doing it the way I'm doing it currently, where the channel is literally named after Tulsi Gabbard. I know some of you have helped me out over on Patreon and through PayPal. There are links that are available that I've embedded or posted onto the YouTube platform here. I'm not looking to grow an empire. I'm just looking to break even, if you know what I'm saying. This is what I do. I have a music channel which is also suffering. YouTube is not the platform it used to be, where advertising and so forth was fairly easy to get on your content. And I do not post, as you know. I keep most of my dialogue fairly clean, and so I'm not sure what it is, but I can hazard a guess. Here's a video or an article which actually relates to my dilemma. The establishment's war on Tulsi. Tulsi Gabbard passes most progressive litmus tests, so why don't they want her to be president? This comes from a thing called Citizen Source and medium.com/Citizen Source, if you want to check this out for yourself. Great picture of Tulsi, one of my favorites. The Democratic platform has established cut and dry policy talking points. Now, I do take issue with some of these ideas that the author here is putting forth. The Democratic Party has not put forth, these are almost Green Party talking points. Let's just be clear. Medicare for all. Okay, that's a recent development, and I would say most of the candidates running are pushing back on that to some degree. They want to do some end run around that. Piecemeal, very much like Obamacare, which would be a huge mistake if they do that again. Campaign finance reform, which I think everybody in both parties wants to do and talks about, but they really don't because they want the money. Tackling climate change, yeah, I would say most of the Democrats talk climate change. Regulating and breaking up Wall Street, yeah, not everybody. That's supposedly Elizabeth Warren's big thing and Bernie Sanders, but not everybody. Universal basic income is only Andrew Yang talking UBI. And taxing the 1%, yeah, everybody says they're going to tax the 1%, but your front runner, or the guy who's tied for front runner, Joe Biden, he went on to tell us how great those Comcast people are that he's taking donations from. Democrats also tout themselves as a political party for women and minorities. Tulsi fits the bill, supporting each progressive Democratic issue. Moreover, she is a woman, a minority, a veteran, and she has cross-party appeal because of her willingness to engage in thoughtful debate and refusal to play identity politics. Can I tell you how much I love that? I wouldn't be here. I am not interested in Kamala Harris. I never will be. I'm not interested in Elizabeth Warren. I never will be. Because they play ID politics, and we keep dividing us into groups. We just keep doing it, and then we play off of, in the end, you don't know which group is more identity politic friendly, and it becomes a battle. Tulsi actually, as she mentions here, and smartly, she checks off all of their little silly boxes, okay? And they are silly boxes. We need somebody who's qualified to be president. We don't need to fill a gap. If we're going to fill that gap, we need to fill it with somebody who's also capable at the same time. So Gabbard seems like the obvious choice. Right, she does. Democratic Party leaders may not like her anti-interventionist agenda. Noticed how that wasn't one of the establishment talking points that this author came up with. Americans are basically being charged billions of dollars each year for these wars. Democrats have said leaving these countries to their own devices would create a larger group of evil. Like, we're not doing that by going in there and banging on the hornet's nest. No, we're not creating that instability. That's leaving them alone would cause the instability. Okay, I love the talking points. In contrast, Tulsi says that we should not act as the world's policeman. Love that. Love that about her. Ron Paul used to say the same thing. Some Democrats imply that her foreign policy plans are a product of her youth and being so naive about these things. She just doesn't understand. Even though she served, even though she's deployed, even though she's currently a member of the armed forces, she's a major, but she doesn't get it. Because, you know, some think tank or some ivory tower beltway Democrat knows better. Tulsi argues anything but. She has served as a soldier in the Army National Guard for 16 years, and she's been on the Senate Armed Services and Foreign Affairs Committee for 6 years. Tulsi Gabbard is ready to be president, people. She's ready to be president right now. Critics also call her an Assad supporter. Assad apologist, usually. Because she went to Syria. And we're still litigating the Syria thing. Look, as much as I like this article, I guess pointing out this over and over again, there's a negative side to this continuous. We're just going to keep talking about how she went to Syria. It's like somebody who makes a mistake, and this wasn't a mistake, but you keep bringing up the same things over and over again. Most Americans, by the way, aren't really concerned about whether or not Bashar al-Assad is an enemy of the United States. Most people aren't, because most people don't understand any of the connections between what's happening in Syria and what's happening here. What they need to understand is we continue to send troops all over the world, spending trillions, not just billions, and what are we getting for it? What transaction is occurring? Are we safer? No. We're not. In fact, you can argue that we just, every time we go into a situation like that, we destabilize the region. Okay, look, and by the way, I've had some criticisms. I did this thing about Poland the other day. I read from Sputnik. I got spanked a couple of times because everybody's saying, well, this is a case where, we should be doing this and Poland is an ally. Really, we should do it without any congressional oversight. We should just let the president send in troops and build a military base. We're giving the president too much power, and we're not looking at these issues. We're not litigating the issues. That's what Congress is supposed to do to some degree, and inform the American people, not just, hey, the president's decided to do this unilateral thing. And that's what Trump's been doing lately. All right, so she talks about meeting Assad. I hate talking about this because it's water under the bridge. She went to meet Assad. She wanted to get a feel for this. And now it's like thrown in her face all the time. The Meghan McCain is going to lecture Tulsi Gabbard. That's pathetic. And anybody who cares that much about what Meghan McCain has to say in anything on any topic really needs to pick someone else. All right, economically, she supports raising the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. deregulation and tax breaks for small businesses, and increasing taxes on the 1%. Gabbard also advocates using the money wasted on endless wars in the Middle East to invest in America's economy. Her policies represent a growing nationalist. Wish she didn't use that word. Populist, pragmatic wing of the Democratic Party, and there's much overlap with the Libertarian Republican that also identify themselves as, no, Libertarian Republicans aren't nationalists. I don't even know why she would say that. But in any event, like I said, this article is good. There are a few things I kind of take issue with. The Democratic establishment doesn't want her to be president. Yes, that is true. And their reasons date back to mistakes Gabbard made just after her being sworn in as a congresswoman. What did Gabbard do? Well, she delivered Hawaiian treats to all of her congressional colleagues, including Republicans. Okay. Moreover, she took meetings with President Trump. Oh my goodness! She's trying to tell him to stop intervening. Unbelievable. So the tribalism, you can't talk to this other person, Tulsi. You can't meet with the president and try to influence what he's doing. Because, again, what is wrong with our country these days where we're this polarized? Where we can't look over... Ted Cruz just did something with AOC. Ted Cruz and AOC are working together on a bill. And it's something that is very commonsensical. And it is a little on the fringe as far as establishment type stuff, and it's good that Cruz is doing that. I think Cruz wants to probably, I don't know. I mean, I don't know about Ted Cruz, but I know that Ocasio-Cortez, she's a rock star, whether I like her or not. But it's good to see that people are working together. That's the point. Gabbard doesn't walk the party line. While serving as DNC vice chair, she saw the corruption within the party and stepped down to support Bernie. Now, I'm hoping, at the end of this, if she's not the nominee, she steps down from the party. That's what I hope she does. I don't think she's going to, but I'd love to see her step down from the party and then ignite a movement within the Green Party or somewhere else. I'm ready to go green. I really am. I'm ready to go green because there are just 3 or 4 issues that I'm not willing to compromise on. There's this little meme in the middle here. We were very disappointed to hear that you would resign your position at the DNC so you could endorse Bernie Sanders, a man who has never been a Democrat before. At a May town hall, Curry Dobson attempted to ask Tulsi a question. He explained the fear many Democrats have of the DNC repeating their 2016 as they're in progress doing it right now. His question was taken over by a DNC operative in Hawaii that reframed and obfuscated his inquiry. Yes, that this was... I did a video about this. These people do not want you to hear the truth. They do not want you to hear anything. Like when she answers questions about how you're going to beat the party, how you're going to get around the party, oh, they hate that. The media likewise has continually smeared Tulsi. Barry Weiss of the New York Times recently appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience and called the Congresswoman's policies monstrous and said she was the mother lode of bad ideas. Although she had trouble naming the policy positions that she had a disagreement with. Online commentator Jimmy Dore, one of my rock star heroes of this movement, went on to characterize Weiss as regurgitating received opinions from the offices of the New York Times and within the mainstream media bubble. Of course, then there's Russiagate. The Daily Beast claiming the Congresswoman was getting a fundraising boost from Russian sympathizers. Oh, if you sympathize with Russia, that means you don't want to go to war with them. You don't want the new Cold War. And you think that getting along with Russia would be a good idea. However, after the sticker shock of the headline, it reads more like a dishonest attempt to halt Gabbard's momentum than it does a credible threat. In the first quarter of 2019, Tulsi Gabbard raised more than $4.5 million. 3 of the donors had alleged ties to Russia. I don't want to go there with this. To date, the campaign has over 100,000 individual donors, more than establishment darlings like Kristen Gillibrand, Cory Booker, and Jay Inslee, many of whom have raised much more money, as their donors are often big money interests. Yeah, so she's got grassroots support. With such strong opposition from the Democratic establishment, no doubt Tulsi Gabbard has an uphill climb in the Democratic primaries. But if voters are able to sift through the wreckage of her coverage and on the mainstream media enough to find her policy proposals and points of action, Democratic and Republican voters alike may find that they're on board with what they're hearing. Yeah, she has crossover appeal. Major. So, this is an interesting article. Brings up some very valid points. Shows where we're at in the campaign. It's just sad that... And, by the way, this dovetails nicely with... Tulsi doesn't get a lot of applause when she was at the California Democratic Convention yesterday, but she's greeted by all these supporters. So, again, the grassroots, if anything's going to occur here, it's a grassroots movement. And although the Bernie people and the Tulsi people are mostly on the same page, I did a video a while back how the division, because we're dividing between these two candidates, you know, it's kind of like you got your foot over here and your foot over there, and you're waiting for which one's going to go. And so you say you like Tulsi, but you'll vote for Bernie, and it's caused it's an interesting dynamic that I think is hindering this whole thing. I'm just being honest. I'm not criticizing Bernie people. There are a lot of great Bernie people out there, and I would support Bernie if Tulsi isn't the candidate. But I know a lot of people who've come over because they look at Tulsi as a more attractive candidate than Bernie. And they think the youth and the fact that she's a woman, she's in the military, this is a really unique candidate. This is somebody you can look up to as well. So there you have it, folks. The establishment's war on Tulsi Gabbard. And the video will be uploaded shortly. So enjoy it, and I will talk to you soon.